So here we're going to talk about the game itself. I'm going to start with going to the quit race here in a moment, so I can show you the main menu real quick, show you the how the game really starts before it actually moves into this actual scene that we're in with the racing. Um, Once we get through those two initial things, I will mute the sound for the game because it does get quite a bit loud for me to try and talk and have it play at the same time. It'll be kind of hard for you to hear me. So we'll first go to, like I said, we'll go to this quit race here. This is the main scene that you start off with. It's got just a basic background of a coal mine. These are the original trees that I had in that I will speak to later on in the presentation. We have the start button, we have the credits button, and I also have a sandbox that I threw in here. The sandbox was just for the myself and my advisors to kind of go in and test it out and fool around with the bike just for fun. See what you can do with it. So we'll go to the start here, and the first thing that pops up is you're given this, do you want to see the tutorial? And we're going to go ahead and say yes, because we don't know how to play the game. We've never played it before. And here's the tutorial. It's not like an interactive tutorial. It's just a quick read through if they want to read through it, just telling them what they can do to play the game. So then we continue, and the first scene that you're given here is our camera pan scene. So I'm going to mute the sound for the game for a second while I talk. So this goes through the entire scene that you see in the game, and it is set up so that, well, here we go, let me turn the sound back on real quick. Alright, so my camera picture of myself was probably in the way in the corner, but in the corner where that is, there's actually a skip button that allows the player to also just press that button real quick. If they've already seen this scene and they don't want to see it again, they can just skip it, and it'll take them right to the next level. Otherwise, here's this play button. They click the play button, and now you're in the scene. You've got your tachometer, you've got your acceleration here, or your gas, you have your brake and your reverse, and then you have your two arrow keys here for your actual movement. And then up here you have a pause button, and I set up a stuck button because at some point there's been a couple times where you may get stuck on things. It should have been completely taken out, but I left it there just in case, because you never know, rather than having to start the level over. So in the pause menu here, you got restart race, resume race, restart race, and quit race. Resume race, just like it says, it takes you right back where you were at. You continue on. Restart race will restart you right back here where you're at, and then quit race. You can press either this or the pause button, and it brings you back in. So I'm going to turn the sound on. I'm going to stop talking for a minute. I'm going to use my computer to actually run through this real quick, and then I'll have a separate video, a short separate video after that just shows this stuff on my device. It's a lot harder to see on my device due to the camera that I have, so to make it easier, I just figured I would show it on here first. So I'm going to pause it here for a second to talk about one thing real quick. I have checkpoints that I set up in the game because there's times when the player's playing and they may wreck, and I'm going to intentionally wreck up here in just a moment to show you that those checkpoints. So I'm about to go through a checkpoint. There's going to be no indication to the player. There is an indication down here that says checkpoint hit because I did already hit a checkpoint, but I also have it set up to where there's more that are along the course. So I'm actually going to prevent myself from going across this bridge, and I'm just going to launch off of it and kind of run into the other side and wreck so that that checkpoint actually, the respawn is shown. Now, as you can see, the player, well, I can do it this way. I'll mute my audio this way instead. So you can see the players facing the exact direction that they should be going, and they're stopped, they're ready to continue on, and they're at that checkpoint that they went through. So this allows them to proceed through the course and take some risk. It doesn't prevent them from taking any risk. So we'll continue on. So I went by that pretty slow because I wanted to show that there are things that the player has to pay attention to when they're going through that they're going to have to avoid. If I was going much faster or going more normal speed, that is something that does come into your path that you have to avoid while you're playing. Alright, so coming up here we have an area that if the player's going too fast, the bike is going to wreck, and I'm going to do that right here. I set this up so that it makes the player kind of take their time a little bit, because it's a little bit of a dip that goes down, so the bike actually goes forward a little too far, and they can continue on. As you also noticed as I passed that bridge, it's a bridge that is much worse looking than the previous bridge that we first went across. I also have another thing that I will show you for checkpoints that is pretty important. It's called a death zone that I set up, and what that does is if the player falls off the sides, they're going to hit that death zone, and it's going to stall them for a moment, and then it's going to go ahead and respawn them at the last respawn point. So I'll do that here. And as you can see, we're back at the last checkpoint we hit, which happens to be before that really scary looking bridge. So we'll continue on. And that there was the last bridge that we go across. That bridge is another one that's kind of a scary bridge. It has nothing on the sides. It's crooked. It looks like maybe during all these explosions it got knocked off of its area where it's supposed to be and bumped up, so it's kind of just it's kind of just hanging there. So we're about to come up to one more big turn. This big turn, I actually did not include the limitation on speed, and the reason for that is the player at this point in time, after seeing this, should know, okay, I'm coming up on a sharp turn, I need to slow down a bit, and then it's the kind of the last event that goes on for the map before they get to the very end. That was that last event that I was talking about. It's got all that destruction going on. Something that hopefully gives a player the feeling that, oh crap, I need to hurry up and get out of here, otherwise I might get trapped or I might get caught and I can't get out. And so we're going to come up to the last area. It's the way out, and it brings us to the score screen. Alright, and here's our score screen. what I did was I had it set up to where it's going to go. It pauses all the game music. It pauses the game, and it pops up this screen here. Tells you what your actual high score is, and that's based off of calculations set up to take into account the amount of time that you were playing the game, and subtracting that from converting it to a number and subtracting it from a base score of 1,000. So the highest possible score you would be able to get would be 1,000 if you were able to start the game and instantly be at the end. Obviously, that's not possible. It takes about a minute and a half to 2 minutes to go through this full course without any issues, going at top possible speed. So current high score that I got for this was 612. And then I click continue, and it's going to take us straight to the credit scene, where it provides the player with all of my info and the stuff that I used. And that's the game. So I hope you enjoyed this part, and we'll continue on with the PowerPoint.